Hello everyone, back to today's second video. I've already done the May month-ahead forecast. You can find that on the month-ahead forecast and updates page. It'll be quite an interesting May, I think, with high pressure up to the northeast, low pressure down to the southwest. I mean, exact wind direction will be critical. If it's southeasterly, it could be quite a warm month. If it's northeasterly, it could be quite a cool month. I'll let you have a look at the May month-ahead forecast, see what you make of that. We're just going to look at the next week to 10 days. So we're going to go to around the 12th of May with this update. We're going to start off with the central England temperature, which currently stands at 12.3, an anomaly of 2.9 degrees above average. So that's provisional just up to yesterday, up to the 1st of May. So yesterday came out really quite warm. Of course, that doesn't mean much for the month ahead. That could very quickly tick down. For April, we come out at 8.9. The full stats are in terms of central temperature for April. 8.9, 1 degree above average. We haven't yet got the UK temperature and precipitation figures in. I'm keeping a lookout for them. When we get them in, I'll show you them because it has been a very, very dry April in particular, really dry month. So when we get those full stats in, I think they'll be quite dramatic. I'll definitely be letting you have a look at the UK temperature and precipitation anomalies for April 2017. Right, next week, 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the top. These are 500 high anomaly flow charts. ECMWF is on the top. GFS, have a look at the mode, is on the bottom. 500 millimeters, 80,000 feet is an area in the absolute high pressure, low pressure, being drowned by jet stream running above. Red to high pressure, blue to low pressure. So the ECMWF is placing this ridge in the middle of the Atlantic and moving it up towards Greenland. We've got a trough to the east and northeast. We're probably bringing down fairly cool air from the northwest. You'd expect quite a bit of dry weather with that, but watch out for this trough of low pressure down here. If that was to try and undercut the block, it could bring some very wet weather into the south. At the moment, it looks as though that trough is going to be pushed off in towards the Mediterranean, but it's not impossible, but it might push up towards the south of England, bring some quite wet weather. But as it is for the next week to 10 days, it actually does look quite dry. So the dry spell continues really for the next week to 10 days across many parts of the country. The GFS is very similar. So there's that ridge through the middle of the Atlantic. It's heading up towards Greenland. We've got this pretty deep trough over to the east-northeast of us. The trough to the south is probably a little bit closer. That is, I would have thought, threatening southern parts with some wet weather. So that's a little bit closer than we see it on the east here. But as it is, I suspect we're bringing in fairly dry air, I would have thought, but quite cool with the winds from the west or from the northwest too. These are the temperature and precipitation ensembles the next 2 weeks based on the GFS one. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. About average at the moment, not a great deviation. Looks like we're going to be ticking up as we go through into the weekend, interestingly, because we're going to have high pressure up to the north of us, but it's going to be for high pressure to the north, it's going to be quite a warmish air mass. After that, we've got a bit of scatter there, actually. We've got some quite cold members, but many of the ensemble members are about average, really. So it looks like on the face of it, in terms of the upper air temperatures anyway, we've got a fairly mild start to May. I mean, this date's in the middle of the month just there, and nothing really significantly going below average, except for these outlier members. In terms of precipitation, a fair amount of dry weather. It looks like we're going to turn a bit wetter into the second week of May, which is that period just there. But otherwise, a fair amount of dry weather coming up for the next week to 10 days. So these are the temperature anomalies for the next week, looking cooler than average. So despite that, the upper air temperatures are going to be quite warm. Actually, on the surface, going to be a little bit cooler than you would think from the upper air temperature. So that's quite unusual. Just going to show you the upper air temperatures don't always tell you everything you need to know. And what could be causing that? If we're having clear nights, because we've got high pressure to our north, we might be having quite cold nights coming up. So that would have an effect on the overall temperature anomaly. And surprise, surprise, we're back to drier than average precipitation anomalies again. So after that rainfall over Bank Holiday weekend, we're reverting back to where we've been for a long time now, which is having a pronounced dry spell and that continues for the week from the 2nd to the 10th of May. Here's the GFS for Saturday, then. Look how much blocking we've got to our north, centred around Iceland. The winds are coming in from the east. If that was winter, that would be a really cold blast. It's not winter, but it probably is enough to be producing chilly nights. And if we're bringing in a fair amount of cloud, even the daytime temperatures won't be all that inspiring. Of course, you can get quite a bit of cloud coming in off the North Sea with those easy winds. This trough just here, have to watch out for that, see whether that runs into the south to bring wet weather. Now, it doesn't on this particular run for GFS. We go through to Sunday and Monday. High pressure remains in control. It's out to the north and west, so the winds coming around that high pressure are from an east-northeasterly direction. Just very dry, and temperatures probably not all that far from average, although it will feel pleasantly warm in any sunny spells, of course. We go through to a week's time, Tuesday the 9th of May, still keeping high pressure dominating. And then we get through towards day 10, which takes us to Friday the 12th of May. And you notice it's turning more unsettled there. And that high pressure is being pushed up to Greenland. And that's allowing this trough to develop. It started to our southwest. And it is sort of developing around the UK. Possibly bringing some quite wet weather, especially into the south and the west. I'm not sure about that scenario, really. It's a big change on what we've had recently. But, of course, if we do take those heights far enough to the north and west, if we take them up here, then particularly in summer, what tends to happen is that a trough will fill in the space and it will turn unsettled underneath the blocks. And that's exactly what the GFS is showing from around the end of next week and then beyond that, probably lasting up to the middle part of the month. ECWF finally, so if we just have a quick look, go back, there we go to the weekend. We've got these easterly winds coming in, high pressure up around Greenland and Iceland. The winds are in from the east and the northeast, so probably dragging in quite a bit of cloud. I've got weak pressure to the south, so that could be bringing showers even on Sunday into southern parts of the country. As we run through into next week, again, high pressure really dominating the weather out to our northwest. We're bringing the winds in from a northerly type direction, so it's not going to be a heat wave, but because the winds are light and there's probably a fair amount of sunshine, by day it would be reasonably warm. Of course, it could be chilly at night. Running up to day 10, again, it looks like we're turning things more unsettled. This is the chart for day 10. You had a preview of it when I clicked over to these ECMWF charts. So that is the day 10 chart. It looks quite unsettled, actually. Low pressure is out to west of Scotland, and we're bringing the winds in from a west-southwesterly type direction. There will be rain bands coming in with that. It looks like we're going to have a lot of dry weather through the first week or so of May, but we may find things turning more unsettled as we get through into the second week. Temperatures a little bit dubious about those, to be honest. The high pressure up to the north, which in theory is quite a cool direction, but the upper air temperatures look quite warm. Surprisingly, I suspect what's going to happen is that by day, if we get sunshine, we'll be pleasantly warm. By night, it could be quite chilly, and then watch out for a change to more unsettled conditions, potentially in the second week of the month. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.